Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divine Feminine Healers podcast. It is your host, Angelica, and today is just going to be a full energy update of what's happening in the cosmos because we are on the heels of eclipse season with our full moon in Pisces starting it off on September 17th. But before we get into eclipses, I do want to talk about Virgo season, and I actually did a whole podcast episode on Virgo season and how to align, which you could listen to the full episode right before this one. But if you are feeling stuck right now, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or chaotic, then Virgo season teaches us it's time to clear, it's time to get organized, it's time to buckle down and get everything in order. So a lot of times as healers, we do this by partaking in cleanses. Yes, there are so many benefits physically to doing a cleanse because it can clear out physical toxins from the season ahead of time, can help you feel really light and dissolve a lot of imbalances like hormone imbalances, skin issues, digestive issues, sleep disorders, truly anything and everything. But my favorite part about cleanses and why I've been doing them seasonally for the past 10 years is the emotional and mental weight that's released in a cleanse. So it's not just about the food. It's just not just about losing weight. It's something deeper that happens in a cleanse where you completely shed an old version of yourself and you step into a completely different one. Why? Well, under the lens of food, we can see where our certain attachments are to certain habits and behaviors just by looking at the way of how we relate to our food, how we eat it, what are our habits around it, what time of day, what are the self-sabotaging habits, what are the good ones. It tells us so much. And when we redirect that relationship with food, we redirect that relationship with ourselves because we see how those patterns relate to every other aspect of our life. So right now, I am leading our community through a community cleanse. I've been doing this for my community over the past 6 years, and I absolutely love it because there's such great transformations that have happened, and I get repeating clients, and this is their second or the third round of doing a cleanse again, and each time there is a deeper layer that's released, and they're able to step even greater into their greatest and highest self. So if you're wanting to join our cleanse for September, you can just send me a DM at Angelica_feminine_healer. Just send me cleanse and I will send you more information on it. I am guiding everyone through an Ayurvedic cleanse, which I have more information on what an Ayurvedic cleanse is on my page. But an Ayurvedic cleanse is a very gentle way to clear out old physical toxins from your body and as well as what emotional and mental tendencies that go along with them. So it's a very spiritual experience that happens, and it's done in community, which is the best way, because when we're going through something that causes a lot of change in a very short amount of time, you're going to want people there by your side, going along with you, supporting you, cheering you on, celebrating you. It makes it so much easier and, dare I say, fun. So if you're ready to join, just DM me cleanse at Angelica_feminine_healer. Okay, now for eclipse season. So again, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling a little cluttered or overwhelmed, it's time to stay in alignment with Virgo. Do a cleanse, purge your closet, get all your ducks in a row. I know in my group coaching call for the women in my business membership this week, we talked about how everyone is like getting everything in order, whether that's their content planner or they're organizing new templates on how they want to share their content. Like there's such a restructuring that happens during this time of year because it's like we want to get everything in line. And it really is just setting us up for our manifestations. If we are not in a space of clarity, if we do not have all of our ducks in a row, it's going to be really hard to embody that future version of ourselves. It's going to be really hard to bring that into our physical reality because we are clinging to the old. So this happens on all fronts, not just your physical, mental, and emotional body, but it can also happen with your business. So 'tis the season for that. Now, 'tis the season also for lots of more changes. This is the last eclipse cycle of the year, and it starts with the full moon in Pisces on September 17th. Now, eclipses is when the Earth is between the sun and the moon. This upcoming one is a lunar eclipse because it's happening on the full moon. And it's said that this is supposed to be fated events, destiny, changes related to karmic cycles. And why is because this is related to the north and the south node of the moon, otherwise known as the north node is tend to be our destiny, and our south node tends to be a lot of our past lives. In short, that's a very short way of describing it. And so when the moon and the sun are all in alignment with these nodes, it really strikes a chord on what is fated for us, what is destined, and then also what is karmic. They're one and the same. So what we have learned from our past cycles is going to be coming up to the surface so that we can go further towards our destiny. Now, placed in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is a dreamer. It has to do with our subconscious mind and belief systems. It's also the last sign of the zodiac, so it represents endings, cycles endings. It also represents our ancestors. Because it represents the dream world, our ancestors could possibly visit us in our dreams. They could also have a deeper connection with us and be sending us signs and symbols. And lastly, Pisces represents surrender, forgiveness, and compassion. It's a water sign after all. It's very go with the flow, very easygoing. If you have a Pisces in your life, like that's them, like very go with the flow because of that water sign. And water signs, they're highly emotional. So there's a high emotional intelligence. And so along with this comes so much compassion and therefore so much forgiveness for the self that happens with those who are in Pisces. That's why they're able to go with the flow, because they understand, they have empathy, this deep well of empathy within them. Now, what's interesting about this full moon in Pisces is that it's going to be conjunct Saturn and Neptune. Conjunct means that these planets are in the same sign. Neptune is also a very dreamy planet, so a lot to do with dreams. If you are one who has clear dreams like myself, they'll become even more vivid in this coming week and especially around the eclipse. So pay attention to your dreams, keep a dream journal as they can be very enlightening. And this can also represent going towards your dreams, making your dreams a reality. So with the conjunction of Saturn in Pisces, now Saturn has been in Pisces since March of 2023. So this would be a good time to reflect on what lesson was coming up for you in March 2023 when Saturn made that huge shift. Saturn represents our challenges. He likes to slow things down. He's kind of the old grandfather who wants to teach us a very hard lesson and make sure that we learn it really well. But we're really grateful because that wisdom makes us really stronger. It makes us have thicker skin and we become way more resilient. If anyone's been through Saturn return, you know Saturn very well. So when Saturn moves signs, it can affect us really deeply because our obstacles are going to mirror whatever sign and therefore whatever house we have Saturn in natally. So when Saturn moved into Pisces, March 2023, take a look at what obstacle was presented towards you. What was the challenge? And this was probably a challenge that took you a while to really chew on, to really figure out, to really learn. And that's just Saturn's ways. Saturn wants us to learn that through hard work and effort, we can receive the prize. However, it's not going just to happen instantaneously, which can be very difficult in our Western world of getting things very instantly in the age of social media. So it's all about learning lessons. And now that we're having this full moon eclipse in Pisces, it's closing out a cycle. So there's something attached to that lesson that started in March 2023 that you're now closing out at with this first eclipse. So that is my first question for everyone. If you want to take out your journal and if you want to write these down, this could be a really great practice for you to do on the full moon in Pisces. I'm also going to do a post on this so you can do your own ritual for the eclipse cycle. So what lesson that started in March 2023 have you learned and are ready to close out? There's something that has been like, you know what? I have learned that lesson inside and out right now, and I'm closing that door. Bye-bye, no more. And how does this help you give yourself more compassion and forgiveness? So Pisces rules all of those heart-centered emotions. So how have you learned to love yourself more through this obstacle and been able to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made along the way? for the people that you may have not intentionally meant to hurt along the way? And how are you coming to peace with this all? How has this been able to strengthen your ability to surrender? Again, this is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's an ending, it's a closing. And we know that the last part of closing out a cycle is surrender. Is there's a point where we had to put in the effort, we had to put in the work, and then it gets to a point where we realize this is so beyond me. It's no more to do with what I'm doing on this physical plane. It's out of my hands, and I am trusting the universe to now guide me. This lesson that you've been learning has ultimately been able to strengthen your connection to ancestors, to your intuition, and to connecting to your dreams, that your dreams are possible. So how has that allowed you to deepen your strength in your intuition and your ability to surrender? So a lot of you will probably know right off the bat what this obstacle is that has been causing you maybe great strife in your life, and you're like so ready to close it out. It's a great time to do a ceremony around this. Now, also during this time, Venus has been in Libra, which started on August 29th, and it'll go to September 22nd. This is a very favorable placement for Venus because it's in one of its home signs. And Libra is the sign of relationships, just as Venus is. And Libra represents beauty and specifically the divine feminine. So there's also this element right now with Venus being in Libra that there is a possibility to create new and more fruitful relationships. Maybe this is in a collective of females that has really been able to strengthen your trust and felt really supportive to you and allowed you to really step into your feminine qualities. Maybe this is actually calling in a romantic relationship, as again, Venus and Libra, they also rule all different types of relationships, especially romantic. And in romantic relationships, you are able to really see that polarity of feminine and masculine qualities. And I'm not talking gender, I'm just talking about the energy. We all have masculine and feminine qualities, and Venus and Libra allows us to really attract or become, whatever we choose, that feminine quality. So what I really see this full moon in Pisces is it's doing a big clearing. It's closing out a cycle, but definitely a cycle that you're ready to close out. And it's almost just like a beautiful ceremony, acknowledging it and taking this extra step allows you to truly forgive yourself for how long, quote unquote, it took you to learn this, or what other pain you may have endured or caused in learning this lesson, to really close out that door and forgive yourself and end this cycle. And in that, we always know when we end a cycle and we clear space, there's always opportunities for newness to come in. So I think for a lot of us, we're going to be calling in a lot of new, fruitful, unconditional love-based relationships. This, I think, a lot in the romantic world. That is just my inkling, and that's where been a lot of my readings have been towards. There's been a lot more like romance coming up to the surface. So you're going to experience that. But it can also be in female relationships that are really nurturing and that are really supportive to you. Now, this full moon in Pisces kicks off eclipse season. So eclipse season starts with the lunar eclipse, and then it ends with the solar eclipse, which will be in October. And this is like an incubator time just to go inward, to tend to your intuitive practices, your spiritual practices, to try to clear off things off of your plate, especially if you live in the Northern Hemisphere. We're going into the cooler months anyways. So you should start to be slowing things down rather than hyping things up. And so it's a really good time to go inward. That's also why I'm so excited for our community when we're going through the cleanse this month, because it's the perfect time to take a little bit of space for yourself and focus on yourself so that you can see the inner workings that are being revealed. And what I mean by that is your inner world changes so much during an eclipse cycle that new insights are able to come through, but those are only able to come through if you're slowing down and you're actually aware of your intuition. If you're just going about your day as normal and there's a lot of noise in your world and life, you're not going to have an opportunity to receive that insight. So take time to pause during eclipse season, take time to tend to your spiritual practices even more than you normally do, and take time to clear off your work schedule so that you have time to really tune in, because there's a lot of fruitful things that can happen. A lot of times I think eclipse season gets a bad rap for being a cycle where, oh my gosh, like the rug is being pulled out from underneath of you. of me, but I know a lot of you who listen to this podcast have already been on the healing journey for a while and been doing the work. And if you have been, then you know deeply that you kind of know what's coming. You know what cycles are closing. You're aware of it. You're privy to it. Of course, we can't predict everything, but you are tuned into that frequency of intuition and connecting with your spirit guides, that it comes as no surprise, these new insights. And that's what our true manifestation is. When a manifestation finally comes in, it's not like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, although there is that element to it. It's also like, yeah, I've been waiting for this. I deserve this. I'm ready for this. So enjoy this eclipse season, to take time to pause, to get really amazing intuitive insights. If you want some more support, I will be going on IG Live. I do them every Wednesday around 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I do intuitive card pulls. These are just mini readings. If you want a full reading, I also do those. You can find those on my page. But they're really fun just to connect with all of you. Definitely tune in if you haven't tuned into one yet. I'll have my Instagram linked below. And if, again, you're feeling stuck and you're really feeling like you're going through it and you need some support right now, definitely sign up for our community cleanse. It's such a fun time, and I would be happy to share with you more. Just send me a DM at Angelica_feminine_healer. Thank you all so much for listening. If you love this podcast episode, please share it with a friend or a family member who you think would love it too. And I would adore you. Be so grateful if you commented, rated, and reviewed on either Apple or Spotify. You can now rate on Spotify as well. Thank you all so much. Happy eclipse season. I hope you just sparkle through getting so many amazing intuitive downloads, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.